So the first problem says to go ahead and find the size or order of these. So remember, we go rows by column. So rows go this way, columns go this way. So there's one row and 4 columns. So the first one's 1 by 4. The next one is a 2 by 2, no matter which way you go. So, but it's 2 rows by 2 columns. This one has 1, 2, 3 rows by 2 columns. So 1, 2, 3 rows, 2 columns. So rows by columns. Make sure you go in that order and you'll get them right. Okay, question number 4. You're supposed to find this using Gauss-Jordan elimination. So I'm just going to go ahead and swap row 1 right now. 1, negative 3, 1, negative 28. I'm going to put row 2 there, and then I'm going to put this row underneath. I could have actually put that as row 1. It wouldn't have affected things. It might have made things a little bit easier, but since I've already written it, we'll just carry on with that. So now I'm going to go row 1 plus row 2. It's going to make a new row 2. So that's 1, negative 3, 1, negative 28, negative 1, 1, 0, 14. So that's 0, negative 2, 1, negative 14. So that's my new row 2. So 0, negative 2, 1, negative 14. Row 1 hasn't changed. It's still 1, negative 3, 1, negative 28. So now I need to get at row 3, so I'm going to go negative 2 times row 1 plus row 3 to make a new row 3. If you want to think of it this way, negative 2 there. So that's going to make negative 2, 6, negative 2, positive 56. And 2, 2, negative 1, 2. So when you add those together, you get 0, 8, negative 3, 58. So that's my new row 3. Okay. So if I wanted to, I could write it in there. What I'm going to do right now, though, is I'm going to take row 2 and row 3 and get this 8 to disappear. So I'm going to go 4 times row 2 and add it to row 3 to make a new row 3. So 4 times row 2, if you want to put it right here, you could put that as right there as well to help you remember. So that's 0, negative 8, 4, negative 56. So that's 4 times all of this second row. Now I'm going to add that to my row 3. I get 0, 0, 1, 2. So that's my new row 3. So I am now, remember we want this thing to look like this, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1 in somewhat of that order. So I've got this bottom row all done. I have this 0 here, so I need this 0 to come over here. So that's the 0 I'm after, is that one right there. So I need this 1 to disappear. So for that to happen, I'm going to go negative 1 times row 3 and add it to row 2. It's going to make a new row 2. And just so you can think of it this way, this is really z. We're plugging z in and solving for y. If you want to think of it as x, y, z type stuff, we're plugging z in as a number. We replace it. So that's kind of what this matrix is doing in essence. So not exactly that, but that's in essence what's happening. So 0, 0, negative 1, negative 2. I've multiplied row 3 all by negative 1. I add that to row 2. So that's 0, negative 2, 0, negative 16. I divide it all by negative 2. I get 0, 1, 0, 8. So 0, 1, 0, 8. It's my middle row. The bottom row hasn't changed. It's still 0, 0, 1, 2. Now in my top row, I want this one that's circled right now to disappear. So I'm going to do the same thing as what I did earlier, but with row 1 now. So I'm going to go negative row 3 plus row 1, and it's going to make a new row 1. So that's going to be 0, 0, negative 1, negative 2. Add that to row 1, 1, negative 3, 1, negative 28. So it makes 1, negative 3, 0, negative 30. That's my new row 1. So now I want this negative 3 to disappear, so I'm going to use this row, I'm going to multiply it by 3. So in essence, what I'm going to do, so I'm going to take 3 times row 2 and add it to my new row 1, which is this pink one right here. So 3 times row 2 is 0, 3, 0, 24. Now I add it to this row, which is 1, negative 3, 0, negative 30, because this is really, remember, my new row 1. So that's 1, 0, 0, negative 6. And if we did it right, those are our answers. So if we want to check our work, we can take this and take these first 3. Now it's going to highlight for me. We take these first 3 and call it matrix A. Then take those last 3 and call it matrix B and put it in our calculator and see if we get the same answers. So I go to my calculator, I hit second matrix, I'm here, I edit matrix A. It's a 3 by 3, and I type in the numbers 2, 2, negative 1, 1, negative 3, 1, negative 1, 1, 0. Now I go to second matrix, I'm going to edit matrix B. It's a 3 by 1, so that's good, 3 by 1. 2, negative 28, and 14. Now I come out of it, I go second matrix A, inverse, times second matrix B. So A inverse times B, I hit enter, negative 682. Go back and check my work, negative 682, so we did it right. So anyways, that's a way to check it. You can find out if you did it right. As long as you type your numbers in the calculator, it should match up with your work here. On your test, you have to do it by hand or you're not going to get very many points. It's 15 points for this problem. You do it on your calculator, you get 3 points is all. So here's the other way to do this, just to show you that we could do it a different way and get the same answer. I'm going to make this row 1. So I'm going to put negative 1, 1, 0, 14 in here. I'm going to make this row 2. So 1, negative 3, 1, negative 28. Make this row 3. 2, 2, negative 1, 2. I think this is supposed to only have 2 lines and these other 2 are supposed to have 3, but oh well. So if I add these 2 together, I get 0. So I'm taking these 2 and adding them together. I get 0, negative 2, 1, negative 14. Now if I go 2 times that and add it to this one, 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Add it to 2 makes 0. 2 times 1 is 2. Add it to 2 is 4. 2 times 0 is 0. Add it to negative 1 is negative 1. 2 times 14 is 28. Add it to 2 is 30. So now I want this 4 to disappear. So I'm going to take this row, add it to this row, but I need to multiply all this by 2. So 0 and 0 make 0. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4, plus 4 is 0. 2 times 1 is 2, minus 1 is 1. 2 times negative 14 is negative 28, plus 30 is 2. So now I'm going to work up backwards. I want this 1 to disappear, so I'm going to multiply this all by a negative and add it to that. So negative 1 times this makes negative 1. Add it to here is 0. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. Add it to negative 14 is negative 16. I have the other stuff because that's all zeros here. Divide this all by negative 2 and you get 0, 1, 0, 8. So there's a finished row, there's a finished row. Now on the top one, that's already a 0, so I don't have to do anything. Normally I would have to take this row and add it to this to get this to become a 0, but since it's already there, it's done. Okay. Now I need this one to disappear, so I'm going to use this row and that row. So I'm going to multiply all this by negative 1, so negative 1 times 8 is negative 8, plus 14 is 6. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1, plus 1 is 0. The other stuff is all 0, so it doesn't change. Whoops. That's a negative 1 still. Now I divide it all by negative 1, and I get 1, 0, 0, negative 6. So my 3 rows are 1, 0, 0, negative 6, 0, 1, 0, 8, and 0, 0, 1, 2. So same thing as what we got before, so I know my answer is right. I've checked it 3 different ways, so that's good. So the area of a triangle is given by this formula, plus or minus 1/2. The plus or minus is just to make sure it comes out positive. Okay, so if it needs to be negative, you make the determinant negative. You make this negative to make it positive. Negative times negative. Whatever you need to do to make your answer come out positive. X1, Y1, X2, Y2, X3, Y3 are just the vertices of a triangle. So I plug those in. I replace X1, Y1 with 2, negative 5. X2, Y2 with 5, 7. X3, Y3 with negative 3, negative 6. These straight lines means it's the determinant. So I go to my calculator. Second matrix, edit, enter. I plug those numbers in, so I've already done it. 2, negative 5, 1, 5, 7, 1, negative 3, negative 6, 1. I come out, I go second matrix, move it over to math, because I'm after the determinant. And then I go back in and tell it I want to find the determinant of A. Enter, and it says it's 57, but remember, you have to divide it by 2. So it's 57 halves, or 28.5. So the divided by 2 is that multiplied by 1/2. That's the same as dividing by 2. So anyways, that's how you can find the area of a triangle, whatever units that is, those are units squared. So that's a quick way to find the area of a triangle using a matrix. The next bonus is equation of a line. These are on the right-hand side of your paper, if you're wondering where I'm getting these from. Now this one isn't so nice. You cannot use your calculator because this top row stays as a variable. So that's x, y, 1. But I do replace x1, y1 with these points. 3, 5, 1, negative 2, 7, 1. And so we've got to use minors and cofactors. So I use this top row. Remember, it starts off plus, minus, plus. So I'm going to have x, and then 5, 1, 7, 1, because those are the ones not in the same row or column as x. Now minus the y, so not in the same column or row as y, is 3, negative 2, 1, 1. And then plus this 1 right here. And then not in the same column or row as this 1. So that's 3, negative 2, 5, 7. So now I go 5 times 1 is 5. Minus 7 is negative 2. That makes negative 2x. 3 times 1 is 3. Minus a minus 2. So that makes 5. But then there's a negative, so that makes negative 5y. And 3 times 7 is 21. Minus a minus 10 makes 31. So that's a plus 1 times that, so that's just plus 31 equals 0. We like our x and y to be positive, so we have 2x, but we like our x to be positive. So I multiply everything by a negative to make the x positive. So that just switches all of the signs. So that's how we find the equation of a line using a matrix as well. Now moving on to question number 5, you're supposed to do this by hand. So you've got 2, negative 1, negative 1, 3, 2, 16. When you're done, that's supposed to look like this, 1, 0, 0, 1. And you'll have some number over here. So you'll have something there and something there. So looking at that, I'm going to go 3 times row 1, negative 2 times row 2, and add those together. That's going to be 6, negative 3, negative 3, negative 6, negative 4, negative 32. So 0, negative 7, negative 35. This is my new row 2. So this was row 1, 3 times row 1, plus negative 2 times row 2, or just negative 2 times row 2, and it made a new row 2. Now I'm going to divide it all by 7, negative 7, so I get 0, 1, 5. So that's my bottom row all complete. Now I want this negative 1. So this is what we have still. I want this negative 1 to disappear. So to get this negative 1 to disappear, I just add those together. So 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 5. If I add those together, I get 2, 0, 4. Divide that out by 2, I get 1, 0, 2. So my answer is 1, 0, 2, 0, 1, 5. Okay, so these ones you're supposed to add. Adding's fairly easy. You just add the first one to the first one, the second one, the second one, the next row, first one, second one, second one. So negative 1 plus 1 is 0. 2 plus 3 is 5. 0 plus negative 1 is negative 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. And so that's the adding part. Number 7 is you've got a number in front, so you're just supposed to multiply that. So you just distribute that 4 to all of them. So 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Okay. Number 8, you cannot add these because they're not the same size. This needs another row, so not possible. If you try to type it in your calculator say error matrix dimension mismatch or something. So anyways, that'll just tell you that it's not possible. Number 9, you're supposed to multiply it out by hand. This is a 2 by 2. This is a 2 by 3. In order to multiply, these two have to be the same. If they're not the same, it will not work. And then these two are the size of my new one. So it's going to be 2 rows by 3 columns. So there's going to be 2 rows and 3 columns. So when we multiply, we take the first one here and the first one here and multiply. So 2 times 3 is 6. Most people get that part right. But then you have to take the second one in the row and multiply it to the second one in the column. So negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Now I'm going to take the first one in the row times the first one in the second column. So 2 times 4 is 8. The first one in the row to the first one in the second column. Second in the row, negative 3 times the second one in the second column. Negative 3 times negative 1 is a positive 3. Now in the last one, we're going to go the first one in the first row times the first one in the third column. So 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. But then it's the second one in the row to the second one in the third column. So negative 3 times 5 is negative 15. So that was the first row to each column. Now I've got to do the second row to each column. So first one, first term, second one, second term, first one, second, second, first, second, second. So I'm going to have 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 2 is 4. 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. And then 2 times 5 is 10. So now I combine those, I get 0, 11, negative 19, 7, 2, 8. I expect to see this for your work. No work, no credit on this problem. So make sure you show your work so you can get credit for it. So I go to my calculator just to check my work. I turn this into a 2 by 2 matrix. I type in the stuff 2, negative 3, 1, 2. So that's matrix A. Then I'm going to go to second matrix, edit, B, and I'm going to turn that into a 2 by 3. And I'll just type in all the numbers. So I type in the numbers 3, 4, negative 2, 2, negative 1, 5. Okay, and so once I'm done with that, I can go out of my matrix. I go second matrix A times second matrix B. Hit enter. I get 0, 11, negative 19, 7, 2, 8. So 0, 11, negative 19, 7, 2, 8. So that's the same thing as we had on our calculator. And so that worked out right. Now, number 10, it says any method. You're welcome to do it by hand. You'll get the same answer. You would have, this is a 3 by 3. This is a 3 by 4. So my answer is going to have 3 rows by 4 columns. So you take the first one, 3 times 0 is 0. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. 5 times 1 is 5. Then I go first row middle. 3 times 5 is 15. Negative 1 times 6 is negative 6. 5 times 7 is 35. 3 times 4 is 12. Negative 1 times negative 1 is 1. 5 times 5 is 25. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Negative 1 times 4 is negative 4. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. And you'd continue to do this on all of them. So 4 times 0 is 0. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. Negative 6 times 1 is negative 6. 4 times 5 is 20. Negative 2 times 6 is negative 12. Negative 6 times 7 is negative 42. Then you have to work it all out. Add all these and get your answer. So you're not going to get any more points for doing it by hand. Probably ought to just use the calculator. It's faster, but you're welcome to do whatever you'd like. I'm not going to tell you what you have to do on that. I say either method, so you can use either method. Like I said, I'm not going to give you any more points for doing it by hand. You're not going to miss any points for doing it on the calculator. So take your pick. I showed you how to do it by hand. I'm showing you how to do it by calculator. You can do it either way. So it's up to you. I guess if you do it by hand and miss it, I can find where you maybe went wrong and give you partial credit. Whereas if you use the calculator, it's either right or wrong because I won't be able to see your work. So I guess that's the one advantage with doing it by hand is you might get some partial credit. So once I've got my two matrices entered, I just go second matrix A times second matrix B. And it gives me what the answers are, and we write it down on your paper and you're good. So that was number 10. Number 11, you're supposed to find the inverse. Remember to do this by hand. You can do this. A, B, C, D. So this was A, this is B, this is C, this was D. So 1 times negative 3 is negative 3 minus 4 times negative 1. So minus negative 4, that turns into a plus, so that's really 1. So this 1 divided by AD minus BC just turns into 1 divided by 1, which is 1. You switch these places, that's negative 3, 1. These, you switch their signs. Now you distribute this in, and so that's the inverse matrix. You can do it on your calculator as well. So you go to the second matrix, edit. You can edit A, B, C, D, whatever you want to edit. So if I tell it it's a 2 by 2, 1, 4, negative 1, negative 3, I go out of it. Second matrix A, inverse, and there's negative 3, negative 4, 1, 1. So same thing. So now to do the next one, I go to second matrix, edit, 3 by 3, whoops. 3 by 3, 1, negative 1, 0, 1, 0, -1, 6, -2, -3. So I go out of it. Second matrix A inverse. And there's my inverse. -2, -3, -2, -3, -3, -4, 1, 1, 1. So that's what you write down as your answer. So I just type that in the calculator. -2, -3, -2, -3, -3, -4, 1, 1, 1. That's your inverse. Pretty sloppy writing, but anyways, you got the idea. I'm going to call this matrix A. 4, 2, 8, -2, -5, 3, 5, -2. Matrix B is going to be -2, 16, 4. So I go to my calculator, second matrix A, edit to 3 by 3. Come on, calculator. It froze on me. Okay, so we're to our 3 by 3 matrix. We're going to edit. We're going to type in matrix A, which was 4, -2, 3, and then don't do the answer part. So 2, 2, 5, and 8, -5, -2. So that's matrix A. So now I'm going to go back to my second matrix, edit. I'm going to edit matrix B. It's a 3 by 1, so we can keep that. The first one's -2, then 16, and then 4. So there's matrix A and matrix B entered. I go out. So I hit second matrix A, and I do the inverse times second matrix B, and it tells me that the answer is 5, 8, -2. So what that really means is if I had x, y, z, my variable matrix equals 5, 8, -2. So x is 5, y is 8, z is -2. Okay, number 12 says find the determinant by hand. So you're going to write on your paper 2 times 2 is 4 minus a -3. So this is the part I need to see on your paper, this 4 minus a -3, 7. So I need to see all that part. This one's 0 minus. If you want to have the arrows, that's fine. If you don't want to have the arrows, that's fine as well. Minus 3 times 2, which is 6. So 0 minus 6 is -6. Number 16 says minors and cofactors. Because there's a 0 in that first column, I would either use that row or I would use that column. Okay, so whatever one you choose, it's fine. Just remember this. So this goes plus, minus, plus, minus, plus, minus, plus, minus, plus. I should write those somewhere else so I don't get confused with them. So it goes plus, minus, plus, minus, plus, minus, plus, minus, plus. So if I use this row, I'm going to have -0, plus 2, and minus that number, which is 3. So not in the same column as 0 or same row as 0 is 1, 2, 4, 2. Not in the same row or column as 2 is -1, 3, 2, 2. And not in the same row or column as 3 is -1, 3, 1, 4. 0 times anything is 0, so I'm done with that one. Plus 2, -1 times 2 is -2, minus 2 times 3 is 6, so that makes -8. -3, -1 times 4 is -4, minus 1 times 3, which is 3. So negative 4 minus 3 is negative 7. So 2 times negative 8 is negative 16. Negative 3 times negative 7 is positive 21, and I get 5. But I feel like I messed up somewhere. So hold on, let me double check my work. So I went to my calculator, I typed it in, I said find the determinant of A, I got 5, which is what I have, which is not what is on your paper. So I'm not sure where I messed up on the pretest. If you want to find the mistake on the pretest, that would be great. You're welcome to do that and tell me, hey, here's where you messed up. Because I did mess up on your pretest. So anyways, not sure where I did, but it's messed up on your pretest. So 16, number 17 says do any method. So I'm going to go to the calculator again. Second matrix, edit. A, I'm going to make it a 4 by 4. So that's 1, negative 2, 3, 0, negative 1, 1, 0, 2, 0, 2, 3, negative 1, 2, 3, 0, negative 1, 0 is supposed to, let's see, that's supposed to be a 1. 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, 3, 3, 4, 0, 2. So I just looked back at the calculator screen, try to match up my numbers, make sure they're the same as what I had on paper. So that was the correction that I made. They weren't. So now I go out of this. Now because I had already found the determinant of A before on the problem, if I hit second enter, it's going to find the determinant of A again without having to do all that work, and that comes out to be 15. So that's 15. Now duplicating columns, so I come over here, I write 10, 4, 0 again, 8, 0, 3. 10 times 0 is 0, 0 times anything is still 0. 8 times 5 is 40, times 0 is another 0. 3 times 4 is 12, times 3 is 36. Now I'm going to come back the other way and I'm going to minus. So minus parentheses. 8 times 4 is 32. 32 double is 64. So now I'm going to go 10 times 5 is 50. Times 3 of those is 150. And then this one's all going to be 0. So I have 36 minus 214. So 36 minus 214. 36 minus 214. We'll try it again. Negative 178. Again, there's nothing wrong with going to your calculator. Second matrix, edit. 3 by 3. Typing in your numbers, 10, 8, 3, 4, 0, 5, 0, 3, 2. Going out. Second enter brings, whoops. Second matrix, it brings up the same thing that you did the last time. Determinant, second matrix of A. So it gives me my same answer.